It has been quite some time since I actually did a international wrestling news update. Today a couple of bits from Mexico, mostly Japanese stuff, but it doesn't affect WWE and Impact's wrestling. Firstly, a couple of bits of sad news. Mini Chessman has passed away. He worked for the AAA organization in Mexico, the second largest organization in Mexico. His wife put on his Facebook page during January that he was severely ill and asked for prayers. She later mentioned that he had been suffering from a severe respiratory infection, and the Facebook page was updated at the end of January saying that he had unfortunately passed away. His real name was Valentin Aguilera Garcia. He had wrestled for 24 years, started in AAA back in 2003, and last appeared on AAA TV in April 2013. Some people may know in Mexico they have many wrestlers under 5 feet tall. Normally sometimes they take their gimmicks, characters, personas from full-size wrestlers. Chessman and Mini Chessman, they look very much like a NWO Wolfpack Sting with some slightly different clothing. Certainly a lot of the same looking face paint. Obviously, it's very sad that when any wrestler passes away. There have been reports indicating that it was a very virulent strain of pneumonia. There's been a lot of concern about that in Mexico recently. Unfortunately, I believe another member of staff of AAA also passed away from the same thing. So my condolences, of course, to both families. Now, I've also reported a couple of times on Luis Alverde, the original Sin Cara, the original Místico. And also, of course, I reported that WWL in Puerto Rico had signed him to appear on a few shows there. Now we get word that Baja Stars Wrestling say that he will be facing Black Warrior in the main event of their show at the Auditorio Municipal de Tijuana on the 1st of March for the newly created Baja Stars Intercontinental Middleweight title. So this may be, I believe, the first big show that Sin Cara will take part in Mexico since his release from WWE when his contract expired. He did, of course, do the free show outside his Sin Cara gym to celebrate its 1 year anniversary. I believe this may even be the first show that he is actually appearing on in Mexico since leaving WWE. On a quick note, former ECW alumni Super Crazy announced that former WWE wrestler announcer Matt Striker will be making his debut in Mexico at Arena Coliseo de Toliciano, also on the 1st of March. Now, on to Japanese wrestling news. Now, over the last year or so, there have been several notable retirements from in-ring competitors. Akira Tao, a Japanese legend, retired to concentrate on his duties as the president of the organization Pro Wrestling Noah. There has been now a couple more retirements made. Firstly, Wataru Inoue. He has confirmed that he will be officially retiring from pro wrestling. A special commemorative match will be held on April the 3rd at the Kurikan Hall in his honour. Inoue suffered a cervical disc herniation back on March the 3rd and was also diagnosed with degenerative arthritis in his right shoulder after an examination. He's been struggling with the injury for the last several months as no definite cure had been found. Due to this and other issues, Inoue has decided to announce his formal retirement from active competition, though he did announce that his intentions to remain on with the company under a staff position for New Japan Pro Wrestling in the future. Perhaps a slightly more notable announcement of retirement came from the Power Warrior Kensuke Sasaki. He has now officially announced his retirement as he celebrates his 28th year as a professional wrestler. Now, many people will know the name Kensuke Sasaki from his short times in WCW. Also part of the Power Warriors, I believe it was with Hawk, when Road Warrior Animal was injured. This was a way to elevate a young talent in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Kensuke Sasaki was eventually picked by Road Warrior Hawk to join him in the Power Warriors, the nickname which Kensuke Sasaki has kept ever since. And when Animal made his return, they teamed up in 6-man tag matches for a short time. But certainly that was the launch pad for a great career for Kensuke Sasaki. Now, he owns and operates an organisation called Diamond Ring. Now, following a match against his protege, Katsuhiko Nakajima, on the 11th of February Diamond Ring event, also actually at the Kurikan Hall, he made an unclear statement saying that he has now no regrets in his career. People didn't know what to make of it, but he, a couple of days later, officially announced that he is now retired following that match. He said there will be no retirement match going on in the future, as there is no other achievement that he says that he wished to do, and said he has no regrets. He also stated that he is fully satisfied with that last match against Nakajima. He's also one that has been suffering with herniated cervical discs that actually put him out of action for most of 2012. He said, almost the same as Wataru Inoue, that he's still suffering the effects of that injury, and for the future with his sons, he doesn't want to risk going through anything more severe. His wife Akira Hokoto was there for the announcement of his retirement, and of course showed her appreciation. He said that he wants to live life to his heart's content, and even mentioned that he wants to try snowboarding. Now, Kensuke Sasaki is approximately about 6'4", near 300 pounds. So if you see Kensuke Sasaki on a Japanese or anywhere mountain snowboarding, get out the way, because on snowboard, I don't do those kinds of winter sports myself, but I do know that you can't just suddenly stop. So I would suggest that a man of that size, keep out of his way if you see him coming down the mountain towards you on a snowboard. Now, talking about also another legendary Japanese wrestler who actually retired in May 2013, Kenta Kobashi, long-time member of All Japan Pro Wrestling and later on Pro Wrestling Noah, one of the organisations that he helped set up along with, of course, the late great Mitsuhara Misawa. He has announced, Kenta Kobashi, that he will be holding his own self-produced show on June the 8th called Fortune Dream, or FD for short. Where will this be? Of course, the Kurikan Hall. Yes, there seems to be a thread going through all these Japanese stories lately involving the Kurikan Hall. The Kurikan Hall is one of the biggest venues when it comes to Japanese wrestling. Not physically the biggest, but it is certainly one of the most historic, one of the places, almost like Madison Square Garden or the Cow Palace in San Francisco. It's one where many people have grown up really wanting to actually wrestle there, especially of course if you're a fan of Japanese wrestling. It is one of those venues that is just absolutely amazing to wrestle in. And I have a friend, my Scottish wrestler Nikki Storm. She toured Japan last year and actually was able to have the honour of performing at the Kurikan Hall. She said it was like no other place to wrestle in. It was just an amazing experience. Kobashi said that he's currently in the approval stages for bringing in talent for these shows, and he wants to open doors and remove boundaries between promotions. So effectively try to run dream show events. He also wants to give new young talent a chance to shine and challenge himself in new ways. in Japan there's many promotions. I mentioned New Japan, All Japan, Pro Wrestling Noah, DDT. There's quite a few other wrestling organizations in Japan, and this could be a good way for those young unsigned talent to prove themselves, to put themselves in the spotlight for potential signings to various companies that will always, I mean, Japanese companies are always looking out for young talent, for young wrestlers to be the next major stars, or even to be good stars, in-ring competitors, of course. As I said, Fortune Dream 1 will happen on the 8th of June, 6 PM local time at the Kurikan Hall in Tokyo. Matches to be announced at a later date. Kenta Kobashi is one of these guys who is much respected in Japanese wrestling, and various companies actually allowed Pro Wrestling Noah to borrow essentially talent for the Kenta Kobashi's retirement show last year, which was called Final Burning. It's a great event. It was on YouTube at least some at one point. Check out. It's a really good show. Long show, but it was a really good show. Kenta Kobashi has a lot of respect in the Japanese wrestling circles, so hopefully they can get permission to bring in some talent. Obviously, if he can, it would be a great show. Obviously, if there is any major matches made for the Fortune Dream show on 8th of June, I will give an update on my YouTube channel. Now, talking to another legend of Japanese wrestling, Yuji Nagata, long-time member of New Japan Pro Wrestling. He is now the Pro Wrestling Noah's Heavyweight Championship, their GHC Global Honored Crown. He has won it for the first time, and he won it on the 8th of February from another famous name, young guy still, but certainly will be one of the most talked about Japanese wrestlers when all said and done, Takeshi Morishima. A lot of people in Europe and America will know his name. He did many tours of the UK and Europe, wrestled and was the ROH Ring of Honor World Champion. I actually watched the Pro Wrestling Noah's European Navigation 2008 and 2011 events in the last couple of days. A great talent he is. Yuji Nagata brings on Yuji Nagata up to 4 world title reigns, as he has also been a IWGP International Wrestling Grand Prix as the New Japan World Heavyweight Champion twice, and also has held the Zero Max title. Now, talking of champions actually in New Japan, quickly I'll add this as well. On the 11th of February, the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, were making a defense of their IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. That is a tag team championship for the junior heavyweights, the cruiserweights, and fought for exclusive by junior heavyweights and cruiserweights, whatever you prefer the term. Matt Jackson actually legitimately broke his hand during the title defense on 11th February. There's strong suggestions that it's from reports from his friends that he may need surgery on his hand, but it looks like he may be out for several months, which may lead the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick, to vacate the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Nothing has been confirmed as of yet. I believe this coming week sees Matt Jackson return to the doctors and see what is going to happen with his hand to have it properly assessed, and obviously the rest of the world, a lot of people will report what exactly happens, whether he will need surgery and how much time he will miss. Now, talking also of championships in New Japan. New Japan recently have very strongly pushed, and I mean put a lot of publicity, a lot of resources behind their IWGP Intercontinental Championship. This is a fairly new championship. The inaugural champion was actually the new Impact Wrestler, and I'll get to them in a little while. Investor, the new TNA Investor MVP, was the inaugural Intercontinental Champion just about 2 years ago now. and they have really been pushing it to the front of their company. In fact, at their Tokyo Dome show, which is their WrestleMania, was Wrestle Kingdom 8 on the 4th of January. It says their equivalent of WrestleMania, their biggest show every year. They actually had the fans vote, and it actually, I believe, it won, to have the IWGP Heavyweight or Intercontinental Championships the main event on that show, and that is unprecedented. No, WWE would not hold a vote to see whether the Intercontinental title or the heavyweight title would be the main event of WrestleMania, but New Japan are really putting the resources behind that Intercontinental title with such great champions as Shinsuke Nakamura. This title really has been coveted, and actually it has just been a title that really has been put in. The company has been really putting in value to the Intercontinental Championship, and more so now. The new 2014 New Japan Cup, which is scheduled to take place between March the 15th and 23rd. This will be a single elimination tournament, and the winner will get to choose whether to challenge for the IWGP Heavyweight or that Intercontinental Championship. This is really amazing that the amount of belief that the New Japan Pro Wrestling Organization has put into this Intercontinental Championship. Round 1 will take place on March 15th, then the quarter-finals on March 22nd, semi-finals on March 23rd, and also later that night, also on the 23rd, will be the final. The brackets for the tournament are such, and there is 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, yes, no less than 16 participants in this competition. The first rounds are as follows: Togi Makabe versus Bad Luck Fale, Tetsuya Naito versus Tomohiro Ishii, Katsuhiro Shibata versus Carl Anderson, Yujiro Takahashi versus Shelton X Benjamin, Hiroki Goto versus Doc Gallows, Toru Yano versus Minoru Suzuki, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Davey Boy Smith Jr., Harry Smith, and his partner in the Killer Elite Squad, Lance Archer, will face Prince Devitt. Now, a little note on Prince Devitt. I said both WWE and Impact Wrestling were affected by things in this video. The news for WWE in this is that WWE have reportedly offered yet again a contract to Prince Devitt. Now, it has been confirmed in the past that Prince Devitt has been offered several times a WWE contract. He's turned them down on several occasions. A couple of years ago, he thought he was not experienced enough, wasn't in the right place. He's been, of course, certainly enjoying much success in New Japan Pro Wrestling. His home promotion has toured all across the UK, Europe. I know a few people, I have said before, in Scottish wrestling. He's appeared semi-regularly for a couple of promotions in Scotland, and he's always praised, not just for his in-ring skills, but his backstage demeanour, and really praised wholeheartedly. He's turned WWE's offer down. The latest reports are that he's been offered again with a deal saying that you'll only spend a very short time in the NXT developmental system before debuting on the main roster. Now, this is again reports and rumours, and there's also said on a couple of websites, a couple of them are probably just copy and paste, but some say that Devitt is likely to accept the WWE's offer. Now, again, this is unconfirmed. I don't know whether Devitt will accept WWE's offer. He has been even going to an even bigger stage in his career lately in New Japan. Gone to even a bit slightly higher level. he is an exceptional talent. Like I said, he's been praised wholeheartedly. Everybody knows the skill and the talent that a guy like Prince Devitt has. He could make it in WWE. He's one of the guys I do genuinely think could make it in WWE. WWE did turn down the opportunity to sign Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards lately because they said that they had enough small guys. Could this be a case with Prince Devitt? I'm not saying that he's not skilled enough, because Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards are skilled enough to make it. I mean, they're superstars already. But will WWE actually sign a man of Devitt's stature? We'll have to wait and see. But he has been offered WWE contracts several times, but so far, currently, at least best of my knowledge, of course he has not accepted and continues to remain a New Japan Pro Wrestler roster member. Now, the TNA stuff. Now, this is quite a big bit of news. TNA and Wrestle One, a Japanese organization ran and owned and operated by Kaiji Muto, known to Western fans as the Great Muta, are taping a pay-per-view, a TNA vs Wrestle One pay-per-view on March 2nd in Tokyo, Japan. This pay-per-view will be called Outbreak, and it is rumoured that it is being taped for one of TNA's one-night only pay-per-views. So hopefully we may see it being aired in the US and in the UK. I think that would be a great pay-per-view. It's been quite some time, a few years at least, since TNA did this kind of thing. They did it with New Japan when their guys were involved in the Wrestle Kingdom show a few years ago now. Guys like Kurt Angle, Christopher Daniels, Abyss, who faced Manabu Nakanishi, another giant of stature and of legacy in Japanese wrestling. So hopefully we will get to see this in the UK. The following stars of TNA are supposedly scheduled to work the show. They're heavyweight champion Magnus, Samoa Joe, Austin Aries, Davey Richards, Eddie Edwards, Bobby Roode, Abyss, Kazarian, Daniels, The Bromance, Gail Kim, and Madison Rayne. Now, according to a press release, Wrestle One in Japan has announced 3 matches for this event so far. TNA Champion Magnus vs Kai, TNA Tag Team Champions The Bromance vs Shuji Kondo and Kaz Hayashi. Some people may remember that name from WCW. And TNA X Division Champion Austin Aries vs Seiya Sanada. All 3 teams and guys there earned their matches through #1 contendership matches in Wrestle One over the last couple of weeks. That will be followed, of course, by TNA's Lockdown pay-per-view, which the Great Muta will actually be appearing at. What his role is, we don't know. He may be appearing just backstage. He may actually be a part of the matches. It is unclear at this time whether he'll be in condition to perform, as he has been taking part really more in an administrative role in his Wrestle One promotion. So that's some of the Japanese wrestling news here. Some great events coming up in Scotland over the course of the next week or so, including Scotland versus England War of Independence. Of course, local promotion SWE are having a show, and also the Jim Cornette tour. He is now in the UK. I've seen the pictures, various locations, and I've got a couple of pals on my Facebook who are attending a couple of the events today that Mr. Cornette is appearing at. He is in the UK, has survived the flight, and will be beginning his tour of the UK tomorrow night in Glasgow, where he will host his first Q&A session of the tour.